Here it is. Back at it again.
We're
it's,
here.
it's the average J's, J and J here. This is Jay, Justin Ruiz.
This is Jay, Jeremy Francois.
So, like I said, we're back at it again. This is episode 6. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. We've been doing this for what
Feels
is it, like 2 months, right?
feels like it feels like it's been 3 years.
Right? It's nuts. It's just kind of crazy to look back. I mean, it look back like we've been doing this for years, right? But
Yeah, right.
it's it's just funny to see that it's something that we've kept up with. So that's really cool.
I'm proud of
Uh,
us.
so here we are this week on the day of our Lord, October 27th. A lot of stuff has happened since the last time that we've kind of touched base with you all,
Yep, yep.
but let's just jump into it, man.
Yeah,
First thing up, let's talk about the movies. The movies.
the cinema.
El Cinema. So
That's a weird word.
yeah, it is. Don't fact check that. That's how you pronounce it. So I don't know about you, but I've actually seen some things. I'm actually
Oh,
kind of semi current, right?
okay, okay.
So this time around, just this past weekend, actually saw Halloween Kills, the sequel to the 2018 Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween movie.
Mm,
These two have picked up after Halloween 2 back in the 70s, I believe. The ones with Jamie Lee Curtis, the original ones,
what's
the
the
original
70s?
Michael
I feel
Myers
like it.
movies.
No, 70 seems like super far back. I
I
don't know.
think it was the late 70s.
I'm. You know what? We'll fact check it, and people just say we're wrong or right. Whatever. I believe you.
So I need to fact check it really quickly.
Yeah, it's just like bothering you. It's just
It
scratching the
is.
back of your mind.
Yeah, no, I was right. 1978.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. That's why it's so close to the 80s. That's why I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
it was at the end of the 70s. But
okay.
yeah, the original one, 1978, and then the follow-up, both of them having Jamie Lee Curtis. The 2018 revival kind of like takes care of everything else. It was a soft reboot. Like
Mhm.
Jamie Lee Curtis originally dies in like the fourth one,
Oh, wow.
but this one is a continuation right after 2, and they jumped in time like 40 years, and they've just she's Jamie Lee Curtis is older, she was Michael Myers' sister, so she's kind of gone crazy.
Mm.
So saw the original one, and it's in true slasher movie thing. You're kind of like, oh, they got the bad guy at the end, and then it's like, no, the bad guy never really dies, right? He always comes back. So at the end of the last one in 2018, you're like, oh yeah, she got him. And then in the beginning, like it picks up the second the last one ended.
Oh,
The
wow.
beginning, they show you how he survived whatever it was, and then it kind of I think it kind of suffers from, it's a trilogy, so it suffers from being the middle movie. It was fine. I thought it was directed pretty well. I really liked the score, like the music in it. I thought it was really really cool. Acting was okay. It was decent. Uh, but the story was kind of weird because because there's 3 of them coming out. It's like he's not gonna die.
Yeah.
Like, and this one kind of like it breathes new life into the original Halloween because they do a couple of flashbacks that kind of like um explain some story tidbits, and like show you different angles of what actually happened. The good thing is both Jamie Lee Curtis and John Carpenter are executive producers, so they're kind of signing off and making sure it stays true to the
Okay.
original
As
movies.
long as the story still holds true, yeah. Because then if you just go doing your
Yeah.
own thing, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Even though like I would never, I never really watch those movies because I'm too much
Mhm.
of a bee to watch it. Um, and you know what it is? I have more love for Jamie Lee Curtis. Just a random side
Mhm.
non sequitur here because she loves One Piece, and that was a nice little thing that I found out about her. But I might
I
watch
didn't know
it.
that. That's
I
cool.
might watch it because it's Jamie Lee Curtis.
It's one of those things where I've watched. I'm a huge chicken when it comes to this stuff. My mom has always been a really big chicken, but likes slasher films,
Mm,
and her biggest her thing
yeah,
is Michael Myers. Like she gets
she.
terrified.
Oh, terrified. Okay.
Yeah, no, 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 she gets terrified. Like there's one time back when we were in high school, we went on vacation. We were on Virginia Beach, and from like 3 or 4 blocks away, I'm like hand to God,
And
3 or 4 blocks away, she heard the theme song,
she freaked
and
out.
like her eyes got big, and like She was like, "Oh, like a deer in headlights." She got scared, and we're like, "Ma, relax." And then we walk down the strip, and sure enough, there's like a Halloween themed store or
Oh,
whatever on
okay.
the boardwalk, and it was playing the Michael Myers
That's hilarious.
theme. Yeah. So all the classic slashers I've watched. I typically don't mind them. I like the cheesiness. The originals I think are always the best, but
Yeah.
I've watched those. But yeah, it was fine. It was very middle of the road.
Yeah, I was gonna say because the way you're giving on the vibe that I'm feeling, I feel like that with what we've talked about in the past when it comes to the rebooting and the remaking of movies, it seems like because the MCU made the cinema a movie universe so popular with like followed by DC and then Legendary doing monster hits or the monster universe. I feel like there's going to be a slasher universe because I feel like they try to do that with like Predator versus whoever, well, it's Predator versus Alien,
Alien.
and then
Yeah.
Freddy versus
Jason.
Jason. So I see them coming back. Like we got Scream coming back, so it's like, are they gonna do something? That's what I feel like they're gonna do. Because Slash, first of all, it's nostalgia, but then it's also, it seems like they're trying to build something, but no one's saying anything yet. It seems
Yeah,
like
it's
they're petty.
weird. Like I feel like I don't know if it's necessarily like a universe, but it's one of those
Yeah,
things where like we're doing it to one, so we're gonna keep doing it down the
yeah,
line,
that's what I. That's
right?
yeah.
I think Warner Brothers owns the rights to like for like distribution for all those slasher movies like
Mm.
Scream, um, Halloween, uh,
Night was it Nightmare on Elm
Jason,
Street is also, yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street. I think Warner Brothers owns those. I know Jason. Like we're not getting a Jason movie for a long time because there's like a huge lawsuit
Uh,
involved, and the video game
oh yeah, I forgot about
Dead by Daylight, right? Yeah,
yeah.
Dead by Daylight, they have all except for Jason because of the legal battle right now.
Mm,
They have all of those killers in there. So they're kind of like in their own little universe. But I'm sure we'll see the remake and the rehashing treatment done to all of them at some point.
mm.
Universal had the Dark Universe that they were going
That
to
didn't
do
do so
with all
good.
the classic movies, and then
Yeah,
literally because of one they canned it. The Mummy with Tom Cruise did so bad they
such an action movie.
destroyed that whole thing for it.
They
So
should have brought back this dude to. I would have loved that.
Brendan Fraser,
Yeah,
that would have been amazing.
like and I've heard all the things. Right, kind of not to get into a random sidecar here. He went through like a lot of injuries, like, and then I can see why. Like, and you look at him now, like most of his time, the reason he looks the way he looks now is because of all those injuries, and it's not like
Yeah, he had to take a really long break.
yeah. So if it wasn't for that, I would have loved him to come back and not have Tom Cruise. 'Cause to me,
It,
Tom Cruise is a secret agent that's jumping off
yeah.
buildings, not a
They
horror
just did
guy.
that thing of like, we want to make it modern and cool and scary. Everything's
Yeah,
gonna be dark. It's gonna be serious, and the mummy's gonna be a woman, and she's gonna have like three pupils in one, and it's gonna be crazy, and we're gonna do
yeah.
this. And it was just like,
Wasn't Dracula one of them too? But then they just didn't.
yeah, I think Dracula was like the first one like, years ago. I actually liked that version of it.
That's I
Uh,
forget his name, but Evan something. He was in one of the
hmm
Fast movies.
It's that guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Luke
I
Luke
thought he
Evans, I
did pretty
think.
good at it. I enjoyed the. It's not winning any awards, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
But yeah, then they canned all that stuff. But
but going back
moving on
to
to more like recent movies. So Dune made its big debut this weekend.
oh,
Did you see it?
of course, I requested that
Did
day
you
off
go to
so
the
I
movies?
IMAX, baby. IMAX
Good,
all day.
good.
You shoot it in IMAX, you watch it in IMAX. You can't do nothing else. You watch it anything else, you're just doing a disservice. Like, just take your money back. Like, that's how. But it was great. I loved it. Um,
Really?
I loved it, and I read and look. I'm because I remember obviously before COVID, it was supposed to come out, and I was
Mhm.
really nervous because I was like, I really wanted to read the book before it came out. You know, COVID happened. I was like, okay, cool. Now, well, not cool that COVID happened, but I have the time to read the book. So I knocked out the book in about a month or so. But that's because I had the audio book. I remember in our
Mhm.
previous episode, I did talk about. I finished the book, and then obviously weeks or two months later, something like that, movie drops. Movie was great. Um, it's dope because when you go on Rotten Tomatoes and you it kind of aggregates all the critics and audience like favorability or whatever. Audience loved it. It's at a 91, so that's pretty high for audience. I don't really care about
That's
critics,
very high.
but critics they got it certified fresh. It was whatever. But for me, my focus was the audience. It was really good. I liked it. And I've been like listening to reviews. They're just like it's it's to bring in people that never read the book, and then
Hmm.
and also kind of people that like sci-fi. You like Star Wars, you like Game of Thrones, you like Lord of the Rings. It's supposed to be like that new, fresh, new movie of its for its time, and I got that. But when I
Mm.
was sitting in the theaters, I was just there like, if I didn't read the book, or if people didn't read the book, would they understand certain things that are happening? Um, like sci-fi stuff, like would they get it? Because I was sitting, there, I was like, wait, would they have understood that? Because I have this knowledge of the book, like I have the original
Yeah.
source. I'm like, would they have gotten that? But it's me and my friend who also read the book, and then my cousin and my other friend who haven't seen the book. They love the movie, so they understood what was going on. Which is that made me feel good because then there are people out there that didn't like the movie. They thought it was too slow, and I was like, yeah, but then it's probably because you're watching the movie for the first time and it's just hitting all your senses. You're just like, but it feels like a slow burn. And when I
Hmm.
read the book, I felt that way as well. So I'm just thinking like it was we're just getting more visual uh, imagery like given to you. It's not like you're reading ink on paper.
Hmm.
But the one thing people should know when they're going to see this movie is half of the book. This is part one. Some people, and some the people that complain were like complaining about the ending, like how it just seems like it didn't know where to leave off. Where to me, I thought it was a perfect ending because the marketing is weird. So they're saying it's the beginning, but when you watch the movie, you understand what it is the beginning of this character's story, Paul Atreides. And other random stuff that people didn't like was like Zendaya was barely in it, and I was like,
Yeah.
I
I
get
saw
it, but
that.
like in the book, she's not in it either.
I just feel like
The
well,
marketing does.
is she gonna be in the second part? Is
So
she
she's
like
so just speaking of the book, she's in the book, but in the first half of the book, she's not in it. She shows
okay?
up in dreams, but I understand why people are like nitpicking about it because when it comes to the marketing, she's just always the
Yeah, they
favorite.
pushed her so
Yeah,
hard in
it's
it.
just so front and center. But from what I can recall from the trailers, I remember saying I had this dream about this girl. So like you have to, I feel like someone has to take a step back and kind of think through the process. I'm pretty sure that's just me saying this after seeing the movie. But if you can like take a step back and say like, okay, like he's having a dream about a girl, you would think there's a journey before meeting the girl. But at the same time, you have the suits pushing this marketing saying like Zendaya, because Zendaya is also in
Yeah, I
Spider Man.
think
She's like very popular. So
yeah, the marketing I think was just weird for this movie. Like, yeah, they really pushed the whole like the bombastic nature of it all of
and
like you
it's
got to
there.
go
It
see it in
delivers.
IMAX, like it's
It
huge.
delivers, and I'll say
So
that.
that's great that it actually delivers on that. But then they also pushed really hard Zendaya,
Mhm.
right? They were just like, "Oh, look at her, look at her, look at her." Like
Yeah,
and then, she's in all the marketing right up there with Timothy Chalamet and
we
it
know how
makes
to
it seem
pronounce it,
like
guys.
it it makes it seem like she's a bigger part than she actually is.
Yeah.
And then they barely ever I think they have a tagline that I saw when I was in the movie theater and I saw it on the poster and it was like the beginning of the journey, something like that. And I
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, okay." But beyond that, they really did not touch on the fact that this is part 1.
So that's
They
the thing. So unless you're like a movie nerd like us, or happen to go across social media and see that it is going to be part one, in the theater it tells you part one. So when the movie's opening, it's like Doom
mm,
part one. So and that's the thing. Like if we kind of like pause on the conversation of Dune, when we see all those other part movies, Harry Potter, what's the wow, I'm forgetting the name with
Lord of
Katniss
the
Everdeen.
Rings.
Uh, wait,
Oh,
that was
Hunger
Hunger
Games?
Games. There was a part movie in Lord of the Rings, or are you talking about The Hobbit?
Well, I'm just talking about in general, like the different,
No, yeah, because like you know how like okay,
like
so
the
like
franchises.
yeah, because I remember the only part movies that come to mind is Hunger Games and Harry Potter because I remember I think it was Harry Potter.
I mean, Twilight.
Yeah, there was Twilight. Yeah, but I didn't watch Twilight. Just gonna say. Anyway,
All those like teen
part
book
yeah,
movies, at
yeah,
the end they split it up. I
yeah.
mean, Harry Potter was the first one to do it, and
Yes,
they did it
and
right.
but I
But
understood
yeah,
that, but a lot of people gave it flack because when if you're gonna watch a movie as a whole, as just in itself, it's supposed to complete something. But then
yeah,
people complain about that. But then the sequel or the part two of that movie always gets better love. But I'm like, part one is just telling you it is part one. Like I don't know why people get upset that a
because I feel
movie.
like
If you're being told it's part one,
yeah,
you should be like, oh, I can't wait to see more. But it's not a true number
yeah,
one.
like people don't see it like that. People are like, "Oh, I want this," like you said, to be resolved at the end,
Yeah,
because that's what movies are, right? You have this thing, rising action, climax, falling action, right? But a lot of times with these parts, like you end on the rising action,
yeah,
like you end when like stuff is about to go down, and if you're not used to that kind of media of like cliffhangers and truly leaving you up there, and now you got to wait for however long to get the ending, like it'll bother people. Even Avengers did it, right? Infinity Wars and Endgame, like
yeah. Like
yes,
what?
they ended it, but
Yeah,
those are two halves to the same coin,
exactly.
right?
Like Avengers
like
did a good job with that. Or Infinity
yeah,
War.
they had a concrete ending,
Yeah,
and then they were able to pick up X amount of time down the line. But if you look at it as a whole, these two movies, they're very much like you need both of them
yeah.
to
You can't live
to
without
finish the
it.
story.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's true. And the only difference between the two with the MCU, obviously there's source material, but because it's a in a sense a fresh movie, it has its originality. Dune is actually adapting the book, and Dennis Villeneuve, that's how you pronounce his name, the director. He really wanted to adapt it, like in a sense to the T, because it
Yeah.
was once considered an unadaptable movie, and I agreed to that to a certain point because the David Lynch movie that came out in '84 was it, the book was too ahead of its time, especially when it comes to film technology. Like if you ever
Hmm.
and I watched the '84 movie just to like I got what it was doing and I understood it, but I was like for a movie that came out next to Star Wars as well, because Star Wars was at its height, and you got David Lynch's movie, and it's a cult following. But when I watched it, I was like, I enjoyed some of it, but it was
Hmm.
just cutting through the book, and you miss a lot of the stuff. And I
Hmm.
understand why he's breaking up this book, because the book is broken into three parts, so he can make three movies, and it culminates the entirety of Dune, of the first
Hmm.
book, and he probably doesn't need to go and make another movie after that. But other than that, like I can agree with certain people, like the way it like kind of ends at the end. It seems like it trickles out, but it's like it's supposed to be kind of like a trickling up. And I liked it. I like that. I enjoy it, and that's because I'm a fan of the book after having
Yeah.
read it. I actually want to see the sci-fi version too, the Sci-Fi Channel version. I think it was like 5 or 6 episodes. Yeah, there was one that came out in like 2000. Because after David Lynch's movie didn't,
I
they
didn't know
try
that.
to redo it again, but it was well received. But because it was a TV movie, it wasn't like that
Yeah, they
great.
can't have the
Yeah,
production value.
yeah, and mind you, it's 2000. So yes, technology got better, but I'm pretty sure for 2000s,
I'm sure it was very like heavily relied on CG,
yeah,
and it's
CG was
very
popular
dated
at the
now.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because
But
in early 2000s, CG was the cat's pajamas, man.
yeah,
Everything
remember
needed to be
remember the
CG.
prequels, man, the prequels. Yeah, it was just heavy on that. But I'll say this
Yeah,
though, just to cap it. Dune was great. Think of think of it as when you saw Star Wars: A New Hope. The way it ends, it's like it's not like grandeur where everyone's getting the medals. Like people wanted
yeah,
something like that, but it still has an ending because you still know Darth Vader's out there,
hmm,
right? At the end of it. And this one, the villain is still out there in
hmm.
Dune. So it gives you that same vibe. But when it comes to visuals, you got to see an IMAX. You got to see it IMAX. It's beautiful. And
It's definitely something I would love to see. I mean, Mrs. Ruiz,
yeah,
Eric over there would not be too keen to see that, so I'm probably gonna end up watching it on HBO Max. But I'll watch it downstairs on the nice TV. Um,
just sit really close so it looks like IMAX.
yeah, I'm gonna sit like this, and I'm gonna have popcorn and everything, and I'm just gonna be shouting "Jamalamale" every time Timothy
Timothy Chalamet.
Chalamet comes in.
He does it well. Like he is really good.
He's a great actor. I
Yeah,
have
we have
no
nothing
qualms
against
with
him. We
him.
just like to
Yeah,
always
as
make
much as I
fun.
like making fun of his name, he is a fantastic
Yeah,
actor. I
great.
know it's not Chama, it's Chamalee, right? Chamalee,
Chalamet.
Chalamet. Yeah, like I know it's a real name, like,
Yeah, we just say it.
but it's
It's
just
like when
fun
we
to say
say,
it's
I say like
Chamalamale.
Shia LaBeouf
Yeah,
or
LaBouffe, Chamalamale.
Liam
It's fun.
Neeson's.
Johannesson,
Yeah, when you told me that, I was
Starjo.
just like, wait, I have to like
It's
look
just
up
one
her
of
name.
those names where you look at it and it's like it doesn't look right.
Johansson.
But
That's
I
how you
guess
say
keep moving on to the next topic, but also staying with the
the movie.
interstellar,
Ooh,
like universal, well, not
Interstellar,
universal, but universe theme, right? We were blessed, blessed by the movie gods.
I wonder who the harbinger was. Just, just
It
curious.
had to. It was the Herald. It was Galactus's Herald. Silver Surfer came down and literally ejected this trailer from his hand, and it splattered all over the interwebs. We got a trailer for the next coolest thing. It's gonna blow everyone's mind.
it,
Lo and behold, it's called Lightyear.
bruh.
And then for those who don't know what that is, it is the origin story of Buzz Lightyear. Yes, it is being made by Disney and Pixar. It is a full-fledged movie coming in 2022,
Mhm.
and it is, they're taking the lore and kind of running with it. It's obviously not Buzz Lightyear the toy. It's the media that the toy is based off of in that universe. He is a space ranger, aka an astronaut, and it even that, I don't know if you caught this, but in the trailer they show his chart, like
Yeah,
what the mission was supposed to be. That's
yeah.
on his
That's yeah,
toy
yeah,
box thing in Toy Story.
yeah.
So we get to see the suit, which is actually pretty cool.
It
This
was.
they did
I'm
it.
happy they didn't like take it away, like try to tease it. But it
Yeah,
was
they made it into like it almost kind of looks like a Halo Master Chief
yeah,
armor.
that and it reminds me of you've seen it around in the internet interwebs. The some fan made version of Lightyear, of Buzz Lightyear before this was
Oh
announced.
yeah, yeah,
You've seen
uh-huh.
that image. It's really
Hmm.
dope. And then when you see this with like the scratches, like it's very Halo esque.
And like they made it like they toned down the colors a little bit, but it's still the iconic white and green.
Yep.
He has the three buttons, but they look functional.
Yeah.
And then the
And the
big
thing says
red button now
caution,
is, yeah, it's a caution, and it looks like it's like
like
a
a.
ripcord type deal, which
But I'm
is when
assuming
he
that's his
does
wings,
that.
which is pretty
Yeah,
dope.
when he does that, it's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah.
But
I'm
it
seeing
looks
that like five
really
times in theaters.
It looks really cool. And also when he gets scared, I don't know if you noticed, by whatever that cat thing
That
is,
cat
he
thing,
like
yeah.
does like a fight
Yeah.
stance. He does that when he lands in Andy's room, and he's like somebody
Oh,
like
that
touches him.
I
I
can't
think
wait to see
Woody
those
touches
Easter
him and he
eggs.
goes like
I can't wait to see
so
those Easter eggs because I'm sure they're
yeah.
gonna do a lot of callbacks.
So I'm sure that they'll do a lot of callbacks. I really liked the cartoon
Yeah,
back
I
in the
was literally
day.
just gonna mention that. I hope they could do
The
nods to that too.
Yeah, I hope they do nods to it. It looks like they're making it because the cartoon was more so like the
It was like a space
fantasy of it.
command.
There was a
Yeah,
lot of Yeah, there was a lot of aliens. Star Command was a thing, but they were kind of like the Green Lanterns, right? They were
yeah,
in like interstellar cops basically, and they went around helping people. Here, it looks more so like a space program,
yeah.
like he is an astronaut.
This is like on
So
Earth.
yeah, or wherever. Yeah, it looks like,
It seems like
and
yeah.
it looks like there's a scene in it where there's like a purplish glow, and like there's a ship coming out, and I really wonder if that's like teasing Zerg, if we're gonna see Zerg like in this movie.
Well, I thought that too, but then I was like, if they go, and I keep
I
thinking of
would defecate
I,
myself.
I'm
I would evacuate my bowels.
I was thinking of if you remember Toy Story 2, and Toy Story 2 is one of my favorites because I had it on VHS. When he tells him
Same.
he's his father, I was like, are they gonna somehow tie that in? Because I thought I was like, because Zerg is he like is he an alien? Because obviously it's kind of a nod to
It's
Star
a
Wars,
Darth Vader thing.
but
Yeah,
is Zerg an alien or was he like I?
I
Unless
think
that was
he's
just
just
for like the Space Command show that we saw as kids, the
yeah, I
cartoon
mean, I
one.
don't think they ever say what he is.
Yeah.
He's just in a robot suit, and I know the LGMs are like his like Oompa Loompa slave
Yeah.
things.
But yeah, honestly, I can't wait to see this. Like I get when I saw this trailer, I got like Cars 3 vibes. Like it's serious. Like
It,
it's not a kid's thing anymore.
this is for us, right? Because you gotta imagine we're
Nine
talking about
I'm
Toy
sorry.
Story, which came out, I believe, in 1992.
No, yeah, I
I'm
was
gonna
gonna say when
fact
we were
check that.
born.
Nope, I was wrong.
90.
95 came out in 95.
Oh no,
So
yeah.
1995, we're getting it in 2022, almost 30 years
Bruh.
later, and they're still iterating on these things. It's yes, it's for like the kids now, but it's for us. It's for the
Yeah.
people who grew up and like saw this and were like, yes, like we got it. We got this thing that we could only. I feel like hold on, let me calm myself
Yeah,
down
yeah,
here.
just to take it on because I see you're drooling right now because I'm trying to
I feel like it's one of those things where this is what we imagined as kids, right?
like
When we
there.
thought about Buzz Lightyear or something. These are the gaps that our imagination filled in,
Hmm.
right? And we just, we immediately love him and create stories with him. And this goes with any toy,
Yeah,
anything you latched on as a kid. When you had the physical thing in your head, you just already knew how to play with it, what to do with it. You created your own stories. So
exactly.
this seems like that. It seems like they were able to capture the process of us as kids, holding the Buzz Lightyear doll or action figure and being like, Star Command, blah, 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 blah. And I think they're gonna be able to capture it so well,
Yeah.
and the art, like the animation, looks so good.
Yep.
And at the end, and it was a perfect. You see, this is the kind of trailer that I like because
It
I mean,
doesn't
I
say too
guess it was
much.
in between a teaser and a full trailer
It's
because
a
it wasn't
teaser
like 10
trailer. Yeah.
seconds. But it didn't do anything. All it did was show you kind of like flashes of what to expect. We got a little nods like to the original stuff, and then at the end, it caps off where he goes to infinity,
Yeah.
dot dot dot, and
And you know what's
they
a
leave
nice
it
little
there.
meta thing because this whole movie is very meta. But it's funny because Chris Evans was Captain America and when he said
Hmm.
Avengers and he didn't say assemble. I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
bruh.
it's the same thing. It's awesome. Yes, Chris Evans is gonna be Buzz Lightyear. It is official. Buzz Lightyear has hair. They're showing it in the thing.
Yeah, I remember he was like, oh,
Um,
he's bald. And I was like, no, that's just
so
a thing.
I just like this was a trailer, and yes, I know it's kiddie stuff if you want to call
No,
it that or
we
whatever.
don't have to justify it. We love it. I don't care.
But adults made this, and adults making this, I have
Adults
hope
that
for other
used to be
trailers.
kids,
Yeah,
they played
adults
with
that
it.
used to be kids, they just figured out a way how to make their imagination come to life. That's
All
it.
right, just work for Disney and Pixar. You know what's
So
funny? Like when they first made the announcement with just the image, I
yeah,
remember I was like, "Yo, what if?" Because Woody was always one of my favorite characters. I had
hmm
both, but I was like, "What if they made something with just Woody, like in like some Logan esque kind of a thing? Obviously not with claws,
I would
but then
lose my freaking
I
mind.
was like, because I always thought like, yo, if I could be a part of that team, like just in the writing room, and maybe a dialogue of mine just in there, I'd be with it.
I would love for them. I mean, I think it's a little easier to do a Buzz Lightyear, right? Just because of
It's easier.
technology,
Yeah, it's easier.
and like it's a more, I guess,
It's more
digestible
colorful. Yeah,
story,
it's
right?
colorful for the kids.
But if they could do a cowboy origin story, Clint Eastwood esque with Woody, that'd be amazing.
And easily, easily, if you wanted to remember Cowboy versus Aliens, easily do that because that was a great movie. People may not like that, but that was a great movie. Give me Cowboy versus Aliens with Buzz and Woody meeting again,
I don't know
not
if
in
it was a
Andy's room.
great movie, but
No, it was okay. It wasn't a great. It wasn't like Oscar,
it
but
was
I enjoyed
different.
it because I like Daniel Craig. I like John Favreau.
Yeah,
I love the idea of it.
for sure.
But yeah, but the color palette of it, the
Hmm.
cinematography, the practical effects, give me that with Buzz, Chris Evans, and Woody, whoever. Maybe voiced by Chris Evans again. I don't care. Just put him there. Just meet up in the Grand Canyon and just give me something. I would like to be part of that.
I think that would be really cool. I think it would be a lot of fun. I think they could play around with it a lot.
But let's see.
Um,
Yeah, let's see what they do with this. I'm sure
yeah, let's see. Let's see Lightyear first, and then we'll go from
they're
there.
gonna blow
But
our mind brains with that, and I'm so with it.
I was so incredibly happy to see that and to like bear witness to this amazing miracle happening before me. Just seeing it all, and then at the end was perfect. Them saying to infinity and and then it
And it just
cuts.
cuts off. Yeah,
It was so good. Everything about it, from the suit, how he looks. You can kind of see that there's. It almost kind of reminds me of Star Trek. Also, you have
Mhm.
this young space guy kind of like wanting to go up and
Like
be seen.
looking up at the stars, kind of a thing. Yeah,
Looking up in the stars, wanting to be seen. So maybe closer to the original Star Trek, not necessarily like the
the
newer one
yeah.
where he's kind of where Kirk is a little cocky,
Mhm.
but
More wonder, more innocent. Like,
mhm.
I want to reach for the
It
stars.
just seems like there's like a goal that he wants, and he's getting a chance to do it. And it just looks like a lot of fun.
And just recalling some of the images from what I remember, because like he in one of the scenes, he's like traveling around the sun, which is
Hmm.
pretty dope. You can't get that close to the sun in real life. It seems like we've progressed really far in this universe
Hmm.
when it
Yeah,
comes
with
to technology.
technology.
But I would like to imagine, because we were talking about the cartoon version, there's a
Hmm.
scene where I don't know if it was just effects for like bringing up the title card, or if it was in the movie where he just light folds through a different universe. Like, is he gonna meet other aliens? Maybe they're just kind of keeping that close to the chest. Like, that'd be
Well,
dope.
in one frame, you see him
Oh yeah,
on a
yeah, yeah.
planet with like a robot buddy out of nowhere, and they
And there
like
was an
peek up over a
alien. There
hill.
was an alien tentacle that grabbed him. So that was
Oh, there's
one.
that. Yeah,
There's that. So we'll see. We'll see. 'Cause-
there's just so much that they can do, and I hope that I would be okay if it was a end to end story,
and not
right, and
another
then
one.
that was it.
I'd
Like a
I'd be
one
okay with
shot.
that too. But they're gonna
I
do
mean, I would like to see as much as possible, but in terms of like quality sake, I would be totally cool if it was a contained story.
it. But we know that's not gonna happen. But
No.
hopefully. But that it was great. I'm gonna watch it again on my nice TV. I was at work and I was watching on my mini. I was like,
I watched it like 5 times. I
I,
just
cou-
couldn't
I couldn't
even.
watch it again because I got chills the first time, and I'm like, I don't want to cry out because I was at work, so I didn't want to cry. People were like, well, are you
I
okay?
watched it like, and it wasn't even like, it wasn't an analyzing thing like I typically do. Like, last time we broke down a trailer, I think was for
Matrix.
Matrix,
Yeah,
and I'd
really
said like
just
I
took it
watched it
in.
the first time, and then I watched it again to kind of like analyze a little bit.
Yeah,
But this one, I just couldn't help but take it in.
just take
I
it in.
didn't slow it down. I couldn't like really frame by frame it. I was just like watching it and like in disbelief. I
Yeah.
was like, this is real. Like this is a thing. And I knew it was happening. I totally forgot about it.
Hmm.
I got it from you and I got it from my cousin this morning. And then obviously it was all over the internet.
Yeah.
Um, but I was looking at it, I was like, this can't be real. Like this isn't like
You're like,
we don't
pinch me
deserve
now.
this. Yeah, I was just like, no, like I don't deserve
This
this.
is
Like humans don't
this is
deserve
why I
this.
always tell people like they're like I just want to. My goal in life is to live up to the age of 117. Why that number? That's another story. But I want to live on. People, why do you want to live that long? I'm like, we get stuff like this. If I get something like at this magnitude when I'm 100 years old, I'm happy. Tell me we made a Iron Man suit. I'm gonna sign up to join whatever company. As long as it doesn't break my spine. But if anyone got that joke, you're cool. Um, but yeah, if you Gundams, if you we've seen they're moving these Gundam legs like it's willy nilly. I'll join whatever space colony army just to ride one of those. But we're blessed with this trailer, and it gives me high hopes for the future, especially for cinema in general. And it's funny. This is like random thing when it comes to animated movies, and we always just take it in. We never really analyze well, unless it's like a live movie, like maybe like Eternals, Matrix, Spider Man. Spider Man, we'll see it because it seems like they just throw it in there. Like obviously we got the Green Goblin bomb. Like we see that we know like we don't have to analyze that. But when it comes to like animated stuff, we just take it in and we don't question it. And I think there's just something you can say about that with the inner child in us, which is pretty dope.
Yeah, I think you're right. It hits those memory chords, right?
Yeah,
And you're just kind of like you're transported back to like when you
I,
had a Buzz,
yeah, I
and
was
you're
thinking of
just
my Buzz
like,
and Woody, and I was just like, yeah.
it did this thing where it's not, they're telling it their own version of it, with the source material, with what's already been established, but in a way where, and this could just be because I have this nostalgia and this attachment to this property, right?
Yeah.
But to me, it feels like they're doing it in a way that is going to breathe new life into it,
Hmm.
and it's not a shameless cash grab.
Yes.
Like, this doesn't seem like, they're just doing it to put it out and get money. It seems like this is a passion project for whoever worked on it,
Yeah.
and they're
Right.
trying to really do it to the best of their ability. And it comes across in this little trailer. Like, in all reality, they're not showing really anything.
Yeah.
There's no story details. They show Buzz. They show him looking at the suit at one point. They show his ship. They show him starting a mission, and that's it.
Yeah. I
There's
love when he
nothing
looks
that
at the suit and he smiles, like he gives a smirk. I was like, yeah, that's yours.
Yeah, like, there's nothing to tie all these instances together. And going back to what I originally said, this is my favorite kind of trailer because yes, you're presented with questions, but you're not presented with these questions in a way of like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. Like
It's
compared
more
to
of like, I can't wait to see how this all connects.
mhm,
It was teased in the perfect way of like, okay, cool. Like, you got me. I'm in there. I'm interested.
mhm.
You know?
I agree with that. Yep. Yep. Yeah. And when you go back to, yeah, it is a passion project, and it kind of, just to harken back to Dune. Same with the director. When he read this as a teenager, he and his best friend were writing scripts. Obviously, they didn't think, like, it maybe that he aspired to be a director at that young
Mhm.
age, but he maybe never thought he would do this movie, and he's just
Yeah.
recapturing all the old images as he read the book at his time, and he's trying to recapture and share that with the audience of today, which is really dope. And whoever was the idea seed for Lightyear was probably a kid playing with his Buzz, and was just like, "Wow, I get to make this and share what I thought was pretty dope, and share this with everyone."
Yeah, like, you can kind of tell, like, in movies and media in general, right? Um, you can tell when something is felt, right, by the people that are making it.
Hmm.
There are times where people are just like, "Oh, we're gonna make this because this is the hot ticket," and it doesn't really matter. But there's other times where you can truly feel the passion in these projects, and they don't have to do amazingly well, right?
Yeah,
The original Dune, well, the not the original, but the David Lynch one in
yeah,
'84, like, it was a passion project for him because he liked that material. He put
yeah,
it out there to no real critical acclaim, but it was a passion thing.
yeah. And people still like there. Like I said, there's a cult
Yeah,
following for
there is
that.
a cult following for it, and I don't know. You could say it about a million different things. There is passion in these media outlets, and like, once it's every once in a while when the suits don't get in the way and they allow it to kind of bloom on its own, it
Exactly.
creates something awesome that's like felt for generations. And I
Yeah.
think things like Lightyear, it touches on the old with bringing new life into it. And this could be, if they do it correctly, this is something that could last a while.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
me, it also brings up like Mandalorian, right?
Hmm.
Like, it's the same thing of like, we've seen these bounty hunters before. We know that there's source material on it. They're putting a new spin on this very generic character, and there's passion in it. There's so much passion that you can feel it whenever you watch an episode. And now we're talking about going into the third season, right? Well,
Yeah.
technically it's going to be Boba Fett's, and then after that we'll get him again. you know
Yeah.
it kind of hits the same vein for me, like, when I
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah. Because, and not just Disney. So obviously Pixar is Disney, but when it comes to Pixar, they never really let me down. Maybe, like, I can only say maybe two movies let me down, but it's like
Yeah.
The Good Dinosaur was okay.
Hmm. It's the
Never.
same one I was thinking of.
Yeah, and I was like, I never seen Cars 2. I don't even think Cars 2 was made by Pixar. But Pixar, I mean, but Cars 3 was, I enjoyed Cars 3 because I was like, I said, like, Lightyear made me feel like, oh, this is gritty. Like
Hmm.
obviously Cars 3 wasn't gritty. It wasn't no Dark Knight, but there were stakes. Like, Lightning McQueen, like he couldn't race, that deals with age, and that's scary. Like, dude couldn't race anymore. He had to pass the torch.
And the good thing with Pixar, and this was something that my high school art teacher, because we did like some film breakdowns in that class as well,
Yeah,
he kind of touched on, and he brought it to light for us in that class. Pixar does this thing where they try and highlight a kind of like an idea or a theme,
yeah,
and then have you go through that emotion. So for Cars 3, it was coming to grips with getting old and not being able to do the thing that you used to do.
hmm
In Toy Story 3, it was death,
hmm
accepting the fact that you will die and you might have to just let it go. So each Pixar movie has those things. Like Up was accepting the fact that you need to move on with your life, and the dream that you once had might need to change,
hmm
right? There's each movie has this theme. I mean, this thing. The Incredibles kind of hit on the same thing with Cars 3, being, sometimes you got to move on. You might age out of the thing
Oh, like
that you love.
Incredibles 2, or
Yeah, Incredibles 1 and 2, I guess,
okay,
because they
that is
kind of
true. Yeah,
become normal, right? And they need to put that life behind,
that's
and then
true.
they end up dipping back into it. But each Pixar movie has the themes of w- like things that you could actually go through in life, and they help kids to kind of come to grips with it. Monsters Inc. It's like doing what's right opposed to doing what's easy.
Yeah,
You know, Wally. Protecting others in front of yourself. There's each one of the Pixar movies has this thing that you can latch on to, and it's a lesson that can be taught and learned. You know.
exactly. And I love that. Yeah, it's geared toward kids, and I know like kids are smart. Um, but I give credit to like you if you can still take it with you, because sometimes people will just take it just to take it. There's ignorant is bliss. But
Yeah.
like if a kid like even I can just speak for us, like we've seen Tarzan, and we're just talking about Disney, and we've seen Tarzan, we saw
Yeah.
Lion King, we saw Aladdin. Like what's dope about those, and we always had the same monomyth story. You're at the bottom, but you will always get the girl or reach that. And it's not the thing you want, but it's the thing you need, and it's better than the
Yeah.
thing you want. And we always learn from these things, and we take it with us. It's already part of our who we are, and I think that's great. And I'm hoping, and I'm not hoping. I just can't wait for Lightyear to do the same thing for me
Yeah.
at almost 30. So
Yeah, I think it's also a testament, like you said, to Disney in general, right? Disney does a really good way of teaching lessons without shoving it down your throat,
exactly.
right? Thinking about Hercules right off the bat, right? He's chasing that fame that he thinks that, will make him something in his parents' eyes because he felt so alone for so
Mhm,
long, to then find out that, he didn't need that. What would make him happy was to live a life with the woman that he loved.
mhm.
A lot of it obviously, ties into love most of the time, but these themes, as a kid, you don't really think about it. You just think of, he's doing what's right.
Yeah.
He's doing the right thing. He's a good guy. But as an adult, you can break that down and be like, no, 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 he's not just being a good guy. Like, he's giving this up so that he can live a a correct life, like something that he can enjoy.
Exactly.
And I think that's it's a age old lesson of like managing expectations, right?
Yeah.
Like you always want the biggest, the best, the craziest, but in real life, you might, have to reimagine that a couple notches down so that you can live a fantastic life.
Yeah.
It's all in your head, and I think these movies do a great job at being like, it's not always what you want, it's what you need. you know
Exactly. And just to end that, like, watch these movies over and over. Not just Disney Pixar. If there's a movie that seems good or you maybe didn't like the first time, watch it over again because
Mhm.
you might get something from it. It's like you never
Yeah,
watch
and
it
watch it.
once
Yeah.
unless it's really bad. Um but yeah, just take it in.
Watch it with the lens of trying to figure out what is going on.
Or what the
Like,
art
not just the story that's being told, but the
what is
thing
the
beyond it.
director trying to tell you?
Yeah, like, what is the director trying to tell me here?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nothing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
Oh yeah,
garbage.
100%.
Like, but
It's
other
most likely what's that movie, Jackass 3 or Forever or whatever, but
yeah,
they're not
yeah,
telling us anything.
they're not telling you anything. They're just doing crazy stuff that you like to see. Sometimes that's what it is. But other times, if you kind of take the second to look beyond what's immediately shown to you, you can discover themes and things you would just never get on the first pass through.
True. Yeah.
So now, switching gears slightly, still in the realm of trailers and everything, but now heading towards DC
Yeah. Right. Right.
Detective Comics here.
It's
Um,
Detective Comics.
we were also blessed with the DC fandom not too long ago,
Yeah.
where we got new looks into Black Adam and, of course, the Batman,
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson, Twilight's own Edward Cullen,
It's funny you
donning
say
the
that.
cowl.
I saw a TikTok video saying there was a guy, he was just ranting into the camera. He's like,
Mhm.
the caption was like, um what was it? Robert Pattinson is for the boys now, because he's like, yeah,
Yeah,
you had him in Twilight, and then yeah, after that you left him. It was no Team Edward. We had him in what are these movies? You had him Lighthouse. We had him in
Tenant.
Tenet. We had him in that, and he just like names drops them, and then he's like, now he's for the boys now. That's it. You left him out to dry. Now he's for the boys. I was like, I was done. I was done. But
It's so true though. He did a big pivot from like the teenage heartthrob thing to
yeah.
like
And then he was doing
doing
a
some
lot of
real
indie
stuff.
movies,
Hmm.
and I'm sure he did it to finesse his acting more. Like not he
Yeah,
wasn't. I haven't seen any Twilight movies. I'm pretty sure he wasn't a bad
don't.
actor, but in the movie. But I'm sure he wanted to sharpen that tool by going
Yeah,
through, like, I like to say, the underground. But he was doing indie
yeah.
movies and making his way back out. Like, I'm forgetting the name of that movie. There's a movie that Adam Sandler did. Oh, Uncut Gems. But the directors did a movie with Robert Pattinson. I'm forgetting the name of that movie. That was a great movie, and the way he was very intense in that movie, and I liked it. And I've never had anything
I
against.
think it was called Recut Diamonds.
No, I was like, oh, you had it. No, it's gonna bother me. I should look it up. But he was like raw. It was just great.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I have nothing against him. But when he was the moment they announced that, Ben Affleck wasn't gonna do that solo movie, and they announced
Hmm.
Robert Pattinson, I was like, I thought he was great. But people that don't follow him are thinking Twilight, and they think he's bad. And I thought it was like a nice coming full circle. Full circle. He's a vampire now. He's gonna play Batman.
Now he's the
Come on,
Batman.
guys. That's that's go figure. You just got to do it.
It's one of those things where I still think so. In my opinion,
Hmm.
I don't think we've gotten a good actor, and this is the same way I look at Spider-Man too.
Hmm.
For Batman, there's two roles you have to
Oh,
play.
yep.
There's Bruce Wayne and there's Batman,
Hmm. And I thought
right?
Bruce
Same
Wayne. Yeah, Bruce Wayne. You gotta.
same thing with Spider-Man, right? There's Peter Parker and there's Spider-Man.
Hmm.
So with Batman specifically, I feel like there really hasn't been someone that can hit both since Michael Keaton. And again, this might just because like whatever nostalgia I have for it, but Michael Keaton to me was able to do both the millionaire playboy thing as well as Batman, and I think he pulled it off well, right? Talking about Christian Bale, I think Christian Bale was a great Batman,
But
and
not a good Bruce
yeah,
Wayne.
Bruce Wayne he did okay in, like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say he was
Yeah, he's not.
bad,
Yeah, I agree. Not. I don't want to say he didn't do, but it's not the
but
Bruce
he was a
Wayne
way
that.
better Batman than he was a Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
And then also with
Ben Affleck.
this
I
guy
thought
Ben Affleck.
he nailed Bruce, but
But you
Batman.
know what? I really don't think he did Bruce that well. I think he freaking nailed Batman. I
I
think in
you
some
know.
ways he was better
Well, you
than
know what it is.
than Christian Bale.
I think he nailed Bruce at a point where he's at his lowest. But then when he's
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
when you go to the scene, if you go particularly to the scene where he meets uh, Clark Kent for the first time in Lex's
Hmm.
party, I thought that was great. Like that smirk, everything,
Hmm.
he had it.
That banter. Yeah.
That down to the muscle movements of his face. I think he nailed it. But
Hmm.
I'll say the person who does the perfect Batman and Bruce Wayne, you know who I'm gonna say? Kevin Conroy. Hashtag Batman the animated series. You can't
Well,
top him. You can't
but he
top
just
him.
does the voice.
That is when I read comic books, I hear Kevin Conroy. All right.
But you know,
I
and
don't hear
that's
Michael
true.
Keaton. I don't
Yeah,
hear Val
that's
Kilmer.
true.
Michael Keaton is great. Nothing, no shade towards him. But Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as Joker,
Yeah.
those are top tier. Yes, you got. I love Heath Ledger as Joker, but he ain't no Mark Hamill because you know why? Mark Hamill's name spells Arkham, and that's case closed. Drop mic. Boom.
I didn't even realize that.
Spell his name, and you're gonna spell out Arkham. It's like he is the Joker.
It's just, you know what, it's funny because, and again, this might be because we grew up with the animated series,
Yes.
but those two voices do, like, those are the voices of
Yeah.
Batman
If
and
you're reading a
Joker. When
comic
I
book,
read anything with them, yeah, like that's what I hear.
he's like
So you're
that's
not wrong.
me. And then when you
But
hear
I
Harley Quinn,
think,
Mr. J.
yeah, it's, yeah, and that's the voice for me, right? Like, so um I think Robert Pattinson has a good chance of being like a younger Bruce Wayne.
A
I could see
brooding,
him doing that
gothic,
pretty well. I
emo
don't
Bruce.
know how he would be as Batman. Like, I think the thing with Batman is obviously the chin. He has a strong chin. I think the chin's okay. But the voice, am I gonna be okay with his Batman voice? You know, and the Batman voice is a big deal.
Yeah,
That's
because and
it
that's the
matters.
thing, and it was like always like a what do you call it? Not an I could use the word enigma, and funny enough, enigma is in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in like Chris Nolan's movie, beginning with Batman Begins, everyone always complained about his voice, but the
Yeah.
whole point was to have a voice changer. But then, and it was an actor decision. Christian Bale was
Hmm.
like, "No, let me just do the voice." But
I enjoyed that. I thought that
yeah.
was good.
So as I'm watching all three movies, I just think it's his voice when you realize he's supposed to be a voice changer. But no one's
Yeah.
gonna. I don't hear like it's voice now with Ben Affleck's Batman. You hear the voice changer. He has that.
Hmm.
It's that more extra bass to it. So it's
Yeah.
not him growling. And then from the one instance you hear Robert Battingson now, if that's gonna be his new name. When he hits the window, he says like, "What have you done?" Like it sounds
Yeah.
that's the only thing we hear. So I don't want to judge it based on that.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping for this movie because it's supposed to be more detective based, and that's what I really
Hmm.
wanted because we don't really get that in Nolan's movie. It's a grounded superhero, but it's not as detective-y.
Well, I feel like a lot of Batman, besides what the '60s one, really embraces the superhero aspect,
Yes.
you know, over the detective thing. But it's kind of easy to forget. You know, he's in the Justice League. He fights Superman. Like, you know, you think of him as this crazy
Yeah,
figure,
he's
but in
like
all reality, he's just a super smart guy with a lot of money. And
yeah,
I feel like they always gloss over the detective aspects.
exactly.
Like, we get that really heavy in like the Arkham video games. You know,
Exactly.
it's all about detecting stuff.
Yeah,
But I'm excited to see that play out as well,
yeah,
because, and I think the Riddler's the perfect person to do it, right? The
yeah.
Riddler, the only one that can figure him out is Batman, and I think it'll be really cool to see this kind of like more of a
That
serial
noir. That
killer
yeah.
vibe to him, because he's not like the fun Jim Carrey Joker that's joking around. I mean, Riddler that's messing around.
It's funny you
He's
say
this
that.
this is like a crazy looking person. Like, he's doing some stuff,
Yeah,
you know.
it's funny you say that because a lot of people always go back to Jim Carrey, but that's the last live action besides the
Yeah.
TV version. Because to me, I've always taken the Riddler seriously, even a little bit. Like if I were not looking at the Jim Carrey, I would say my serious version of Riddler was, in a sense, some of the cartoon, but he was still campy. Obviously, it was a cartoon
Yeah.
for kids. But then back in when we were in college, when I started reading Zero Year, it was
Mhm.
supposed to be the origin story of Batman. It was his first year as Batman. Well, in this movie, it's his second year as Batman, which is pretty dope. So in Zero Year, the comic book written by Scott Snyder, the Riddler was a menace. Like he basically brought Gotham itself to its knees, which was pretty dope. And it's a good run. If you ever get the chance to like get your hands on it or read it, definitely read it. Colors are beautiful. The Riddler is like he can bring everyone down to their knees, where it just kind of like stopped Batman for like I think it was for a long time, and then
Mhm.
Batman had to like beat, I forget what it was. It was to beat the Riddler in his game so he can reclaim Gotham again, and that's like my serious version of the Riddler. But then this version, he seems like you said like a crazy guy, some sort of serial killer esque. And then you got
It's
freaking Cobblepot too in there, which is pretty cool.
yeah. Oh, the casting, Colin Farrell being Cobblepot, the Penguin, fantastic. Zoe Kravitz being Catwoman, freaking nailed it,
They
man.
nailed
She
it. It
looks
reminds me,
great.
if you ever have you, I feel like I had you watch that Batman Year One. I don't know if you read it or watched it, but it reminds me of that Selena Kyle because she has the buzz cut. She has like a more darker skin. She
Mm-mm-mm.
reminds
Yep,
like Zoe Kravitz definitely. She just remind. I was like,
she kills it,
they
man.
nailed it.
We haven't even seen her do anything,
Yeah,
and
she's
just the
just
stills, I'm like, oh man, she's perfect.
like
But
just the little scenes where she just walks like she's like close up to
yeah,
Batman, and it's like reminds me of Tom King's run.
hmm
She doesn't say
so
much.
good.
She just does flips
No,
and she's yelling at him and then caressing his face and then just does another flip. I was like, you nailed
yeah,
it.
we haven't seen her truly do anything, and I'm like already sold that she's amazing at this role. Um, and then going back to the Riddler really quickly, to me, it kind of seems like it seems like we're getting a mashup of the Arkham Asylum Riddler, right? The
Mhm.
video game version where he's kind of little more
Sadistic.
methodical,
Yeah,
and yeah, he's a little sadistic, and you see that kind of like really messed up part of his genius, and he's torturing people and making it a game,
yeah.
and then also with Batman Hush, the animated version, I
Mm.
wasn't a big fan
With
of
the
the Riddler
animated
being Hush. I enjoyed the original version, where it was that
Thomas, not Thomas. I know who you're talking about.
it was that random guy, and then he ends up
It's
donning the face of Bruce Wayne with different
it was his
people's
best friend. Yeah,
yeah, with different people's faces. Yeah, it was Bruce Wayne's like childhood best friend. So I enjoyed that version, but it looks like this Riddler might be a combination of those two. You get that sadistic nature of the Arkham Asylum Riddler, kind of, really poking fun at the terrible things that he can do and
yeah,
mess with your brain at the same time. And then the serial killer, a little more, I guess, organized version of Hush, where he's really like demented in trying to take down Batman.
yeah,
And I feel like that would be really good, if they lean into the detective angle,
yeah.
like we hope. It'll be a really good story to
Yeah,
tell.
I'm really down with this. Especially with my knowledge DC databanks. Um, from the clips that and it's one thing that's why I don't like to. My brain already does this when I'm analyzing the movie or the trailer. Like there's certain things. Like if you remember playing Telltale Batman, like there are certain iterations of Batman's dad being a corrupt person.
Yeah,
Because growing up, looking at the animated or any other books or the game, his parents were good people. Even the movie and the Nolan's version, they were good doctors. They were just good people. But there are certain iterations where his parents were just evil politicians. They just did stuff to just stay rich.
yeah, they're like tangled in the underbelly.
And there it just ends up where it kind of comes back to bite Batman later on as an adult, where he's like, no, my parents were great when you start, and I feel like it's getting into that as well.
Mm.
But yeah,
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
no, yeah, even in the Joker movie, which is not part of the same universe, Thomas Wayne is kind of a douche. It
Yeah,
seems
like
like
he's
he's
not.
hiding something where he's like he had an affair with this lady when maybe he did, and but as the audience, we don't even know if he did or didn't. It just seems like, but it seems like he did. But this movie I think is gonna be great. Like I remember I was texting my friends, and one of my friends, I did kind of like goad him into it, but like his favorite superhero movie is Dark Knight. Dark Knight is a great movie. It stands on its own. It's a great superhero movie, and if you're not looking at it as a superhero, it's still a great movie. I like it a lot, but it's not my favorite superhero movie. And I said to him, like, "Yo, can this actually be better?" And I'm not. And I told him, like, I'm not saying it is. The movie's not out yet. I haven't seen it. I'm like, it gives vibes where it can be, but I'm like, he got super upset about it, and I was like, bro, it could be. I'm not saying it is. I'm like, we haven't had any other Batman movies besides The Dark Knight Rises, and that was to me that was it was good, but it wasn't as good as The Dark Knight. But the
I
cast,
feel like the Dark Knight has this weird like there's this weird place in people's hearts,
hmm
um, and I think it has a lot to do with the passing of Heath Ledger.
yep,
I
Agree.
mean, listen, I can't take it away from him. He did
Oh
a
yeah,
fantastic job being the Joker. Like
exactly.
he embodied that character. It's one of those roles where like, this person was born to play this.
Yes.
But I think, due to his unfortunate passing, like it kind of like boosts it up in people's minds.
Yeah.
Like The Dark Knight is probably one of my favorite superhero movies. I thought it was fantastic. The story, like you said, stands on its own as a movie.
Yeah.
I think it's a great movie, but that doesn't mean I'm like this one seems like it could have the potential to be on that level. I don't see
Yeah.
why not.
Yeah. And yeah, and I think it's really cool, like just looking into all these, like you got Cobblepot, like giving, and then look, and what I love, and Matt Reeves is a competent director, like, and that's one of the reasons I said it, like, can it be better? Like, Chris
Mm,
Nolan's great, but Matt Reeves, I don't think he has any bad reviews when it comes to
mm.
his library. So I'm like, he's a competent director. He's looking at
What else
angles.
has he done?
He's done all it he kind of brought back the Planet of the Apes, but like the new ones as the prequel,
Okay,
but like they all did great.
yeah.
And there was he did Brick, and then there's another one, but I'm forgetting it. No, was it Brick? I forget. But yeah, like the fact that he's looking at the other Batman's other rogue character, rogue villains rather, because
Mm,
everyone's always the Joker.
hmm.
It's either the Joker and who else?
I mean, Catwoman has been a thing a couple of
Yeah, it's
times.
always the
The
Joker,
Joker,
Catwoman, or who's another popular one? Ra's al Ghul was made more popular as of
yeah,
Batman
Christopher
Begins,
Nolan.
but it's always been
Um,
the Joker. And even yeah,
yeah,
if you go to Michael Keaton, it was the Joker, and then you got
yeah.
the Two
First one's
Face
the
and Riddler.
Joker, then the second one is Riddler and Two Face.
Yeah, so then
Um,
and no one talks about this guy's movies, but anyway, Schumacher's movies. Um, but I'm
No, wait,
happy.
what was it? No, it was the
Mr.
Joker
Freeze,
first, then it
Bane.
was then
Oh
it was Catwoman and Penguin. That was the second Michael Keaton.
yeah,
And then Val Kilmer was Joker and I mean
yes,
Riddler and Two-Face.
yeah,
And then George Clooney was Poison
Mr.
Ivy
Freeze
and Mr. Freeze
and Bane, which he had
and
no
Bane.
speaking role. But anyway, no, like this is dope. That it's not like okay, we're gonna start. He looks like he's gonna go with a big bang. You got Kabubot. It seems like they're gonna do some of, and then look, going back to when they were looking for a Joker, Jared Leto is cool. I always loved Jake Gyllenhaal to play Joker, and people are
Oh,
like,
that would be
"What?"
so cool.
I was like, people are like, "Why do you think Jake?" I'm like, if you've seen this movie, wow, why am I forgetting this name of this movie? It was that movie Jake.
Nightcrawler?
Yes, thank you. I was like, if you the moment I saw the trailer and then you see Jake Gyllenhaal screaming at himself in the mirror, I was like, that's the Joker.
He has the face for it. Like
Especially when he
literally the
loses
facial
weight.
structure.
When he loses
Yeah.
weight, he has so I'm
In
like
it yeah, in Nightcrawler when he like you see like
his
when his
bone,
cheeks
his
like
bone.
sink in and stuff.
Yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
he has the bone struck there. The that movie is the Joker if he didn't fall into a pit of a vat of poison. Like he was a weird guy. And I
Mhm.
was like, that is the Joker. And people are like, nah, he's so old. I'm like, no, Jared Leto's older. And I'm like, he still did the Joker. Like I said, I would like to see David
I mean,
Ayers.
Joaquin Phoenix is older than both of them.
And that's the thing. But you know what? Look, if
I
they,
think that like the Joker could be it doesn't
he could be
matter
any,
age
yeah,
or
it doesn't
anything.
matter.
Yeah, it could
It
be
doesn't matter.
anything.
And that's someone told me that I was like, it really doesn't. But if God willing, I'm still alive at this point. This movie does well, and they decide to bring another Joker. I would like him to be in the running. But
See, because I see him as like I would love to see him as a Joker,
yeah,
and I see him as like that manic, crazy Joker, right? But I think I would also really, and purely off of just like the fact that his chin goes down,
yeah,
I want to see this guy from Inglorious Bastards and Django, um, the
Christoph,
older guy.
Christoph Waltz. No.
Yeah, Christoph Waltz. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
right.
yes. You want
Yeah,
to
I
see?
want to see him, and I think that he could play like a very good. Um, oh man, what is it? Death in the Family Joker. There's a Joker where he's more collected. He's not so crazy, and he's very more
Yeah,
so
I'm
leans
trying
into
to.
the gangster role, and he has like slick back hair, and he's just very like
I was thinking of with.
menacing.
I don't know which one, but I did read the the recent run in Black Label, the three Jokers. I think one of them is in there, but I don't know where he's originally from. But I know what you're
Mm,
talking about. I
yeah.
thought you were gonna say if
So
he played Hugo Strange too, because
I
he's a
could definitely see him as Hugo Strange. I mean, I don't know. I I would
he'd be a
with
nice
this
villain.
run of the Batman, I would like to see. I'm not also quick side note. I'm not a huge fan on the logo that they chose with this one.
Oh, the
Like this,
logo, not his
yeah,
bat
like
suit. No.
no, his bat thing. Like I
Oh, you
don't
don't
really
like it?
like it. No, I'm not a big fan.
It's
But
not Ben
anyway,
Afflecky for you, not bigger.
and not even
Yeah.
that. It just it's not. It's split down the middle, right? So it doesn't have like the little bat head part,
But you know
and it's
why,
just
right?
no.
So in the comics, the in the older
Oh, here we
comics,
go in the
no, yeah, in the
comics.
comics.
Mm,
So the
my name's
behind
Jay. I read things. Mm.
in the comics in the old ones, he
Mhm.
probably the 80s, 90s, the gun that killed his parents, he melted it down and put it behind his chest. So in this version, I think it looks like the shape of the gun, but it's like broken up. That makes the bat, which is pretty dope. It's
That's
a nice
dumb.
nod.
That's dumb.
Yeah,
That's dumb. I want him to wear
you're still gonna
tights.
yes, you're
I
still
want
gonna
him to wear
go to the
tights.
theaters and watch this movie.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's actually way better than what I thought it was. So that's awesome. Um, but anyway, uh, I would love to see this run of the Batman highlight those other villains. Like, give me Hugo Strange. Give me I mean, we got this girl in Dark Knight Rises. Um,
Catwoman.
Talia, Talia
No, I
Ghul.
don't want to see. I don't want to see
Like,
anyone
I don't
big
want to
yet.
see
I want to see
anyone
some
that's really
smaller
been
people.
done.
Like I want to
Yeah.
see. I want to see like the Hugo Strange. I want to see. We're getting the Riddler. We got Cobblepot. I would like to see, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna get up to this point because, like I said, it's his second year as Batman. So I want to see like original gangsters. I'm trying to remember one of
Mhm.
them.
I would love to see him fight. What is it? Tombstone, right?
Tombstone.
No, not Tombstone. Tombstone is in
No, that's
Marvel.
Spider Man. I know who
Uh,
you're talking about. The is it the Solomon Grundy?
yes, Solomon
I think, but
Grundy.
I think for his universe, it's a little more out there for his universe.
Okay.
So, like, I'm thinking more like, I would even. It's a little much, but Crocodile, Killer Croc,
Oh, Killer Croc for
like that
sure. I think
that kind
Killer
of
Croc
fits. In
they
his
can do
like
that.
gritty, grounded, like under like his Gotham is gonna be a character as well because it's not. I think
Yeah.
he's bringing back what Tim Burton did. Tim Burton made Gotham a character, which this one's gonna be what it seems like Chris Nolan was trying to do in Batman Begins, but kind of just
Hmm.
left it alone. And then
Yeah.
In the Dark Knight, it was more like a Chicago, New Yorky area.
Hmm.
For this
I
one,
would
it's
like to.
very dirty and grimy.
Yeah, it's that. It's going back, like you
And
said,
Killer
to Tim
Croc can live
Burton.
in that world too.
I would like to see Killer Croc. I would like to see. I just had it and I lost it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another one.
Um, I feel like Clayface could be a thing if they figure out a way to make it less of like a big sludge monster and more of like they can pull it like a Hush type of deal where he
They could
takes
even
the
do
form of
Hush.
different people. They could do Hush,
They can
yeah.
just do Hush. I'm trying to think. Firefly, that's another one. Like
Firefly,
just these
yeah,
are
just an
like they're not
arsonist.
even, yeah,
Oh,
they're not even
Zaz, they
yeah,
can do Zaz.
they're not big names, but like you can put a nice because that was always the issue with older movies, specifically Spider-Man 3, when you just throw mad,
Yeah,
villains. But if you can utilize the villains as being pawns, like The Dark Knight, where the Joker just released Two-Face out into the streets. But obviously Joker is the main villain. Two-Face is just a pawn. Or we get a Two-Face who is a gangster and he's someone we need to stop.
yeah.
So yeah, we can always we can talk for 5 days about Batman. But until we see more, and I'm happy it's coming out in a couple months because it'll be like March or something or May. But
It's crazy.
it's
It's way
all
closer
this year. Yeah,
than like I
this year's gonna be
think.
great because we got it. Like Eternals is next week. Spider Man is coming. It's coming.
Eternals. I've been hearing some strong stuff about Eternals.
Oh
It's
yeah,
very
I've heard a lot.
yeah. I'm hearing good things. Um,
Before we we're gonna stay in this little pocket dome, this little hyperbolic time chamber. Just kind of a shade towards you. So they mentioned how like Eternals is great, whatever. They compared it to Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I'm like, you need to see it. But
I'll see it.
I hear good things too. I hear good things about it.
Yeah. I can't wait to see that one. But keeping with the fandom, right before we kind of
Black Adam.
wrap that up, freaking Black Adam.
What do you think of
Now,
the stuff they showed?
so compared to, you remember the very first look, which was what, 5 years ago that we got
Yeah,
of
like
the
years
concept
ago, it
art?
was just him. It's just him saying, "Oh, I was hanging out with DC. Say the
Yeah.
word." And this was before Shazam, so we're just like, "Is he gonna be Shazam?"
So, you know, from that concept art to now seeing like
You
footage,
saw that concept art.
dude, I think he looks fantastic. Like, he looks so freaking good
I'm happy they didn't go
as
with the
Black
cape,
Adam. Yeah, me too.
unless
The the only, like, I mean, the thing that still bothers me is the story. Like, I get that they're gonna go into like the ancient story of Black Adam,
yeah,
but I still don't like that it's so segmented from Shazam.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, I'm sure they'll tie it together at some point. Uh, with Fury of the Gods coming, the second Shazam, they
yeah,
showed some stills from that as well, which look cool. But I want it already, man. I want Black Adam already. Like, I'm
yeah.
sick of waiting for it.
I will always to this day yell into my grave like I would have. I don't need to write the movies. I would have just outlined it for them. Like, yo, just do it. Black Adam should have came out first, and I say this every time. And the sequel should have been Shazam, and or it would have been Shazam fighting. It could have been the same movie, but the third movie would be Black Adam versus Black Shazam,
Versus
and
Black Adam.
yeah, and then throw yeah. I like my English was no good there. And then throw Superman in it, but the WB suits hate everything and just want to watch the world burn. So
If
yeah,
man,
but
and
that's all I know.
you know what sucks is that this guy would be so down for it.
Henry
Henry
Cavill.
Cavill.
He
Yeah.
would. But all we're gonna get is that 17, 20 minute animated version, which is great. But it would have been great to see it on this big screen. But as I said again, they hate everything, and they like to watch flowers,
To
burn.
see them team up, like, just thinking about that, to see
Henry
Henry
Cavill
Cavill
fighting The
and
Rock
to
and
see, oh, what's his name? Oh my god, I can't believe I
Zachary.
forgot his name. Yeah,
Zachary.
Zachary Levi. To see him and Henry Cavill team up to fight Black Adam,
It'd be like
like, there's nothing better than
It'd be
that.
like Spider-Man teaming up with Captain America. Like you can hear the quips and the dumb teenage thing Shazam is saying, and then Superman's like, "What?" And but like, it's all there.
Yeah,
The money is
it's
right there.
it's there, and that would literally explode people's asses off. Like, their butts would just eject from their body. Like, it would just be amazing.
It
Like, I
and
just don't understand why they don't do this.
random sidebar, like because we're like hating on the suits right now. During the fandom, because I didn't watch it, I just heard, I read some articles and they mentioned, and I actually saw this. So before the fandom came out, they had the live feed of everyone's comments. Guess what the hashtag was? Release, restore the Snyder Cut verse and release the Ayer cut. Those are the most popular
Yeah.
hashtags, and it's like, give the people what they want. You gave it to them. Why not do it again?
Like, you can't expect to just do it once and then let it go,
Yeah,
you know? Like, they
and
did it, and the crazy part is, like, what bothers me is that there's been director's cuts of movies before.
but
I
this is
mean,
not a
freaking
director's cut, or it is, but
Look at Blade Runner, right?
yeah,
There's like 15 different cuts of that.
yeah,
But what bothers me is, like, it's not something that's not been done before. Yes, on this scale it was different because it was basically a different movie,
yes,
but it's essentially a director's cut. The director had this vision, wanted to do it. The
exactly.
suits were like, "Nah, chill, bro. We can't do this without you. I know you out, but we're gonna do this thing instead." And then they just went back and re-released a director's cut, and I don't understand. Like, just do it. Who
Which was,
cares?
what was annoying. It was and I felt like I said, as an artist, it feels like a slap in the face to me. But obviously, I didn't direct this movie, but I could imagine him sitting there. So they released the Snyder cut, Zack Snyder's Justice League with 4K Blu-ray. I was like, okay, cool, that's gonna make money. And then maybe a week later, they release Josh Whedon's version, and I'm like, because they know that it's a backhand slap. And then if they renege and say, because they're saying that the theatrical version is canon, they're not going to
Yeah.
take that back, because if they take it back, they'll admit they're wrong, and they're
Yep.
not going to do it. And you know what? It's ego. And like, look, I can complain about it for days, and this is not me saying, you know me, I'm not a it versus Marvel versus DC. I just wish the artists get their respect and give the directors their vision. It's the same, and kind of like go back to Dune a little bit. When, or even before that, when Lord of the Rings was being made, he shot all the, like, what's his name? Wow, uh, the director for Lord of the
Peter
Rings.
Jackson.
Yes, he shot all of it in one shot. They believed in the guy. But lately, the
And
suits
that was the first time on that kind of scale for that to happen.
exactly, and I can
They
understand.
took a real big jump
So,
and it paid
the
off.
lately the suits, I don't know what kind of suits these people are, but they're just taking too many safety. They're trying to be safe with it so they can make money, and it's always about the money. And I get that, but and I get it too why they did it. So Dennis, who directed Dune, he wanted to cut the movie in half, but he wasn't allowed to continue making part two. So there's no part two like they announced it recently that there's going to be a part two,
Hmm.
but there's no part two that was filmed, because his last movie,
Which sucks.
Blade Runner 2049,
49.
highly regarded, but didn't do well in the box office. And I get that. Not a lot of people were probably that crazy for it. I love that movie. It was great. Um, but going forward, I just feel like when it comes to WB's movies in general, they need to put more trust into the directors. Like, I just recently found out that, kind of staying within the fandom, a Black Manta movie was going to be a thing. That would have
Yeah.
been like, we don't need to always have Aquaman, or who was another, the Trench. Trench was, did you remember that? Trench was
Hmm.
announced. I was like, that's dope. I would like to know what that, because I'm sure it doesn't have, you don't need to have the big name heroes in there. A Black Manta movie, he's kind of an anti-hero to a certain degree, but he's more villain. I would have loved to see that. That would have been great. They teased it and took it away from us.
Well, it's like the same thing with Swamp Thing, right? Like
Yeah.
Swamp Thing was a good show. It was very
I
good.
wanted to watch it and I didn't
Like
because it
the
got canceled.
the story and the effects, like, yeah, you can't expect it to be movie quality, but for what they had,
They spent a lot of money on it.
they did a really good job.
Yeah,
And I liked it. And then out of nowhere, it got canceled, and it was because it didn't put enough butts in the seats, right? Not enough people watched it. But they had something there, and I feel like each time WB has something, they're like, "Oh, if it doesn't pay off right away, we got to let it go."
exactly.
And that's really annoying.
And it's
And it's
patience
for
they don't
all of
have.
their properties.
Yep.
Like they're just like, "Oh, if this isn't going to make us enough money, we got to stop it." Like there's no reason that, like, I hate when movies that should be filmed back to back aren't, like Dune, right? They should have filmed that entire thing, because now they run the risk of more delays. They run the risk of it looking too segmented because
Mhm.
of, like, however long it's going to take them to edit things or do shots. They run the risk of it looking too much like two separate movies.
Exactly.
When things are filmed back to back, like the Lord of the Rings, the last two
Avengers.
Matrixes, like Avengers, when they're filmed back to back, they have a better, like, fluidity. It flows
Exactly.
better.
Yep.
Now you're gonna break it up, and who's to say, like, God forbid something happens to one of those actors?
Yep.
How are you gonna explain that now? And now you're talking about really losing money. Like,
Yeah.
now you're
And
gonna have to
it
figure it
it'd
out on
be
the
a
back
little,
end.
yeah, it'd be jarring too. Like, they'll, because
Yeah,
another thing too, Dune is a sci-fi heavy movie, right? Obviously you're gonna have some weird names in there. So if a
like
character
Timothy Chalamet.
if someone, God forbid, someone passes and they play a character with a weird name, and then a new actor takes the role, like, who's that? Then they're gonna have to do a lot of marketing to say that this person's this person, and it just gets weird.
It's gonna confuse the crap out of people.
But yeah, but fandom, just going back, you got, they announced a lot of stuff. And that's the thing. WB is just always shelling out money for this fandom thing, but it's like they're in the comments. They're telling you what they want. Like, yeah, we're gonna get the Aquaman. We're gonna get the Shazam. We're gonna get Black Adam. The Batman was the thing that everyone wanted to see because
Yeah.
that's all I wanted to see. But the one thing that I like I said, I didn't see it, but my friend told me, which I think someone like us, or people like us, someone like us, we are one. Um, was Milestone coming back? Milestone Comics, this Icon, Static Shock, those black
Mm, mm,
characters.
mm.
Um, just kind of like a brief history on that. Milestone was like their own thing, and DC bought them out. But then they kind of like pushed them off to the side because they're not using their characters. There was like probably some lawsuit stuff. Because Static Shock has been off the grid for a while and kind of popped back up a little bit in Young Justice. But now Milestone had like my friend told me it was like about 30-minute segment on diversity. Obviously, pandering, money, blah blah blah. I get it, but the good thing is most of the segments that they're trying to reach out to a lot of the people of color, so they can, you know, go through comb through these talents, and then they can have them write these new characters, which is pretty dope, and I love
That's
that.
cool.
And like I said, like it to me, it feels a little bit pandery, but at the same time, it gives people like us the ability or the opportunity rather to be part of a bigger thing.
Well,
And
yeah, it's definitely pandering slightly,
it's
because
not as blatant
they
as what
have
they've
to,
been
you
doing,
know.
but yeah,
But like you said, there's good with that because now like people of color and other minorities are getting the chance to have their work be shown.
which is pretty dope. There's
Yeah, that's
probably
awesome.
20 days left to apply, and I'm gonna do that. You should do it
Yeah,
too.
for sure.
Okay. I'll send you the link, and
Yes,
I'll put
please.
the link down below for anyone listening.
Yeah, look at that. You'll put it in the description so people could go check it out. And hey, if you have a story to tell, tell it. You never
Yeah.
know.
And there's a lot of people out there that want to write something, especially, if you can get partner with DC, that'd be great. Um,
Like just imagine that. Like you could there's a potential like to partner with one of the biggest comic book
Publishing company,
movie
yeah.
media studio things in the world.
Yep.
Like is there any other doubt in your mind? Like do you need another reason to jump on this thing? You know?
I'm trying to think of a reason, but yeah, just
No,
us
that's it.
telling
That's
you.
you will literally be this thing. There's a possibility, and anyone that has a story that they want to tell should jump in on these types of opportunities because for so long, I feel like we clamor for these things, right? We beg for them, we want them, and then when they come around, like, it's time to kind of put your money where your mouth is,
Yeah.
like jump on it.
Yeah. I'm happy that they're listening, but the fact that they're doing this, and like, and that's the thing. So it's DC is its own entity, but it's all broken up because it's not as simple as, Disney owning Marvel Studios. Then there's Marvel, the publishing company. DC is kind of like segmented a lot. So I
Hmm.
wish that like with this fandom, for me, it kind of starts with DC, but kind of trickles up back to WB, where it's like listen to the artists. Yes, you have your input, and yeah, you're investing basically. Sometimes it's time to not stay safe. Something we gotta, Assassin's Creed it. Take a leap of faith. You know. Um, but yeah, like I think that was one of the things that like Batman was great, but this is something I didn't know I wanted, but that I needed. Going back to that, and
Yeah,
or that we needed, rather,
for sure,
which is pretty
for
dope.
sure. So now moving away from the fandom, but sticking with comic news, this ridiculous article that kind of went viral
Which is dope.
past couple days, we saw that a singular man, one guy, read through every single comic book that Marvel has put out since 1961. Like since
27,000 books
like literally since Marvel became like Marvel
before. Yeah,
Comics from 1961 all the way up to 2021. He caught up to date in 5 years. 5 freaking
Cinco.
years. I can't even read a book and imagine reading 27,000 things.
We
27,000 things.
we only read a shaving of an iceberg of all their stuff.
Dude, like that's
The,
crazy to me.
the ice cream shavings that you eat with the juice.
Mhm.
That
Got you.
that the ice is the ice that hit the Titanic. Like that
Like
ice.
at some point you got to really be like this guy must have been like when is this shit going to end? You know, like at some point
But
he had to hit a wall and he was just like,
so
why isn't this
to
done?
answer your question though, so I think it's great. And it's a double edged sword because the pandemic. I'm pretty sure the pandemic helped him because with that year off that we took, like I'm pretty sure he was like, oh wait, I got more time. That's probably why he was able to finish this quickly because he started in 2016. Like, and I'm just like, so here's like something. So 60 years total. That's a lot of years and a lot of books. But just so I told you, 20 almost 30,000 books. But let's just break it down even further. A little over 500,000 pages you're flipping through.
And then on top of that, what I'm thinking about now is like, how much did this cost him?
Honestly, probably not much. Because look, you could have no, yeah. Because remember, you can subscribe now. If you subscribe to Marvel, that probably
You
doesn't
get
cost.
the entire library?
I'm pretty sure you can. Because even like me subscribing to Comixology, I
Hmm.
can read a lot of Marvel stuff. But most of the Marvel stuff is going to be on Marvel's app itself.
Yeah,
Look at this free advertisement, our Marvel. Um,
you're welcome.
yeah. So
But still, man, that's
it costs. I'm
wild.
pretty sure it costs a penny and a half. But
But I mean, crap, like doing what, a $10 a month subscription compared to having to buy all those books? Like that's nothing.
yeah. So
It's a couple $100.
it all culminates to something. So I looked him up. I forget his name. His name is Douglas Wolk. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He wrote a novel about everything he read. So this is something I think he was. It's kind of like a in a
Like
sense of
research.
yeah. I think it was just some great research. If you paid me to do this, oh, I'm
You would have to
never
pay me a lot.
so. And but it all culminates to a book. So it's called All of the Marvels, which is really cool.
That's a nice title.
But like the tagline is like mutants, monsters, monarchs, mystery, and it's like a journey to the ends of the biggest story ever told. I'm like these little things. It just all culminates to this. I wonder how big this book is because I really do want to buy this book. It's a nice little red for those watching. If you want
Oh,
to
that is really cool.
invert your screens when you get the chance. It's dope, and if you, we'll put a link in below of the article so you can go check that out. But
What if it's
I
like the size of all 27,000 books? Like, what if it's like just a
mean, this
huge,
book that he wrote,
like that one book is the size of, like you would need to store it in a garage.
I'll digitally buy that then. I'm it, because I want to know what his thoughts are.
Hmm.
Like you have read it, but there's this. It's pretty dope. Like
Yeah.
I when I spent
I hope it's just like two words. It sucked. Like that's it. And all the other pages are blank, and it's like a 300-page book. Like I wanted to just
it's
say
all
it
blank,
sucked.
and it's like you have to remember the episode of Family Guy when he's like made Brian made the book where you just have to write your own story and he became famous. That's this
Yeah.
book. It's like write your own Marvel comic story. But I'm curious because like reading the article, it didn't really say much about what's in the book. It's a short blurb or not a blurb, but it talks about everything. Um, and like some Marvel stuff. But I want to know what his thoughts were in this. And I don't want to say painstaking, but it could be painstaking, a little bit tedious because I love reading comic books, but to read all 60 years of it, like I and just going back to DC during when I started college, they did the New 52. I've read a majority of the comic books for 5 years, which culminated into 52 comic books, and I only collected probably two or three uh like Justice League, all 52. I think Batman, all 52. That was a lot. But this, and DC is longer. This is 1939. I'm, if he doesn't do DC, he
There's no
should.
way.
He
There's
should.
no way.
Another
It would
5 years.
take him. I mean,
when
if
we're in
if
we're in
it
our
took
other
5 years for 30 years, it would take him 10 years for 60.
yeah, why not? Well, when we're still making our podcast, we'll talk about his DC one.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have him on the show at some point when he does it. It's fine. Well, but I think it's really cool. I'm definitely getting this book just to see what it's about because that is awesome.
It's so funny
Kudos to the
because I
man.
think I think about it and it's like, you know how in comic books, like once in a while they'll have that little box and it'll be like, "Oh, as referenced in
So
Spider-Man 177."
yeah,
Like he did all that. Like he can connect all of those dots.
but in the book and in the article, I remember this as you said this, and we know this. So all 30, yeah, all 30, wow, I'm like blanking. All these books from 1961 to now, only 14, 15 years has passed in that universe, if that makes
That's
sense.
wild.
Because remember all the retcons, all these little small retcons. Because think about it, when Captain America was retconned to be part of the Marvel universe, because comics has Captain America has been out before
Mhm.
Marvel. It was like Timely Comics. It was like before, but
Yeah.
obviously Stan Lee put him back in. So instead of 20 years from war, like even now, what is it like 70 years in ice? So a lot of things have been retconned. So in the Marvel universe, only 14 to 15 years has passed with, and mind you, it's a leaps and bounds when it comes to technology as well. I'm pretty sure when he read this in 5 years, you're seeing technology as well in this universe change. Thinking of cell phones or just people's diabolical plans to blow up the earth,
I
but
mean, computers,
yeah,
like,
and computers like just being part of everyday life of these superheroes world. It's fascinating because it, like, if you kind of compare this to manga in general, manga is very linear, and that's the one thing I like over manga over comics in a sense, because it's not too convoluted. Because, as you said, there's that little asterisk says read Hawkeye meeting Spider-Man so you can read
yeah.
this Wolverine comic. It's like, wait, what? And there's so many offshoots and one shots that
Mhm.
somewhat connect, but you still read it anyway. Um, it's crazy. It made me think about Spider-Man when Miles meets Peter. It was the Ultimate Universes meets the main continuity 616. Well, 616. Wow, I'm like blanking. And there's so many universes. Like, so so many universes and mutants, and I can just I'm just, it's just all I'm my brain is vomiting all.
Lions and tigers and bears, oh my.
Yeah. How many presidents, I'm curious, are in this world? Because I'm pretty sure
Oh,
they're real life. It was real presidents in the comic books, right?
I think like almost every single one since the 60s
Yeah, it was
has been
every.
featured.
I'm sure Obama was in one of them too. So I was like,
Well, I have it.
oh, you
Obama's
do?
in.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
then, so it's every
Obama's the inauguration issue of Obama in 2008
nice.
was a Spider-Man. It was an Amazing
Yes.
Spider-Man
Yes.
issue, and
It
it's Spider-Man literally like rolls up and is like, "Hey, what's up, Obama?"
just seeing this article, I'm just like happy for that guy. Like he did it.
I mean, it's
I'm
definitely an
sure other people
accomplishment.
do it, but he like 5 years to do it. That's great.
It's definitely an accomplishment. It's just wild. So, like, just thinking about it, it's so much. But I guess in terms of like, let's leave that one alone. Moving on to our next little tidbit here. This guy, that guy, very clearly had something wrong with him. I don't know. There's no way a normal person does that. But he had a lot of willpower, right? That's
Yes,
a
I
lot of
commend him for that.
willpower. Like I commend him for that. And with that, you have a lot of spirit, right? You got a lot of like chutzpah.
I
You got a lot
literally
of
was gonna say
chutzpah,
that. You gave it the
right? You got the moxie kid. Like there's that drive in you. So kind of moving away, right? Going into like the metaphysical plane for
yeah,
now, right?
the
What
astral
would you
plane.
yeah, what would you say is your spirit animal? Like what do you think of when you think of a spirit animal and yourself?
You know what's crazy? I always thought my spirit animal was always my favorite animal. Like growing up,
Mhm.
I always liked tigers because it was cool. At some point, I got into cheetahs because I was the fastest in my class. But I for the longest, as of recent years, more than 5, I've liked wolves
Hmm.
because there's a time where
See, but is that your favorite animal or is that your spirit animal?
so I would say it's both. I'd say it's
Hmm.
both because I've always when I got to college. If you guys want to hear a little side story on how we met, um, when I got to college, I always felt myself as a lone wolf. Like after high school, that I
Hmm.
just felt like very lonely. Not lonely, but just lone wolf.
Yeah,
But the cool thing
doing
about
your own thing.
wolves is that you get to find a pack. And then,
Hmm.
like, at some point, I remember I met Justin and our one of our best friends, Andrea, freshman year, but I never really hung out with them because I was always in this mentality of just seclusion. And I don't want to sound like emo, but I was like, I was shy. I was very timid. So I was like, I always wanted to be in my room, just watching movies and anime and just, being in my own world. But what's cool is that you can always be a lone wolf with the wolf pack. So never an alpha, never an omega, but beta. I don't know if that's bad or good, but just a one of the peoples, And lo and behold, like throughout college, I just found everyone, and everyone was great. And I just think lone wolves is cool. And I remember every time I played Halo, you play that game mode lone wolf, so it was you versus everyone else. It was never
Yeah.
teams. So I always thought it was cool. But yeah,
Okay. No, I respect that. So I actually had a fascination with jungle cats back in the day when I was
right?
younger.
Yeah.
I liked cheetahs, mainly because of I think it was Hot Shot in Transformers Beast Wars was a
Oh,
cheetah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
That's
he was my
probably why me
favorite.
too. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it
he was
wasn't,
my favorite.
and it wasn't Hot Shot too. It was something else because the Beast Wars had different names.
Yeah, but then he became Hot Shot, and
He
he
was
was
Hot
like,
Shot because then I think it was
yeah.
retcon to Bumblebee. But Hot Shot, when Hot
Mhm.
Shot was Hot Shot, he was always my favorite character because it was
Yeah.
that cheetah one. But yes,
So yeah, I remember liking that as a kid, and whenever I got like the supermarket, like tattoo things, I would get the
yeah,
panther, right? Um, so I had a fascination with jungle cats, but I hadn't really put any thought into favorite animals
Hmm.
until recently. When you were here and we went to the zoo, we
Oh
went
wow,
to this really big zoo over here called Zoo Tampa, and it's massive. It's actually really fun. There's a
it's
lot of
really
different
cool.
animals,
I enjoyed it.
and it also does a lot of like animal conservation, so they treat them right, and they take in a lot of sick or hurt and raise them and then release them back into the wild. But they have these rhinos there, and I fell in love with them. I think rhinos are now my favorite animal. I think they're just so cool. Not only like do they have those big freaking horns, but they're like they look super cute. Like I just want to hug one. And some of them, like the I think it was the white rhino that we saw,
Yeah,
their bodies segmented, and it looks like they basically have like armor plating. It
yeah,
just
because
looks cool.
it's very like it's like that skin flap, but like obviously if you
Hmm.
like it's their skin, but it is very armor plated. Like it kind of
Yeah,
reminds me of Rhino for Amazing Spider-Man 2.
yeah.
Got all these armor.
It just looks cool. But as far as like a spirit animal goes, I've gone on a number of job interviews and this question has come up before. And I typically say I think I'm a bear, my spirit animal, but not in terms of like a grizzly bear that's gonna like kill everyone. I think of it as
Yeah, they're different types of bears.
I think of it as like either a black bear or if we want to get to like cartoony stuff, Winnie the Pooh. So I see myself as somebody who's big and lovable and more so Winnie the Pooh esque, right? So I'm big and lovable. I like food, but at the end of the day, I try and do things for my friends. In my everyday life, I see myself as somebody who would go the distance for my friends. My friends are my family. My friends are the people that I got to choose in this world that I go on these adventures with.
Mm,
So to me, they're the most important people in my life. And with Winnie the Pooh, his most important people are his friends.
that's true. And you have a friend that has two first names.
That is very
Technically,
true.
there's not many people with a first name Francois, but it's like. Why not?
I mean, I'm sure there's a decent amount of them in like France.
True. And, uh, Louisiana, New
That
Orleans.
Creole.
Yeah, you got to get that little drawl in there.
Yeah, Francois.
Hey, my name is Francois.
Yeah.
Um, what's his name? Christopher Robbins. There we go. It was bothering me. I was like, I know he has two
Yes,
first names.
Christopher Robbins. So
But yeah, I like that. I like that.
yeah,
That fits.
that's how I've typically answered that question before.
Okay. And it has that little Disney tie into it too. So it's
Hmm.
like it's dope. It's
I
dope.
feel like it comes full circle on who I am.
I like that. I'm just thinking about the people listening right now, and they're just like, I know a little more about these guys. And then there's just like a chart, like Charlie, just a chart, just like they're plotting our lives.
They're just like they're breaking down who we are as individuals.
They're just like, okay, how does this connect to the future world? And I'm tying this back to Dune because this is how dope the movie was. There's their Messiah is supposed to be called the Lisan Al Gaib. It's basically the Messiah that will save the entire known universe, and they're trying to find out how we connect, like me and you, Justin and Jay, become that, and how
Mm,
genetics finds the future. That's we're gonna see that. That's how popular we get. I've seen the future.
I get that.
Yeah,
That makes sense. Um,
seven.
so then I guess tying it back to Dune and all that, our very last topic for the day is what we've been watching and or reading.
Hmm.
So typically, I don't read anything,
So
so
yeah, what
I
have
just go straight to watching. Right? Me, I obviously everyone knows me at this point. I watch sitcoms. Sitcoms are my thing.
what are you on now?
Um,
Still Seinfeld?
I'm I'm on. No, I finished Seinfeld already.
Yeesh.
Dude, where you been at?
Yeah.
Come on, I've been done with Seinfeld for like a week now.
I'm on season
Um,
one still. Like I've seen the show
what,
already, but
bro? I blasted through 9 seasons so quick. It's not even funny.
uh,
Um, Such a great show. The ending again is
it's the
the
best.
perfect way to end it. I'm not gonna spoil it for people, but it's the only possible ending. It's like either that or they all die. Like
Yeah.
it just makes the most sense.
I'll spoil it
Uh,
next week. If you haven't seen it by now, it's like, come on, guys.
yeah,
You had
it's
something.
just it's the overarching story, the dynamics that change so much, the individual characters. It's just beautiful. But now I'm actually on King of Queens, so
Yes.
I've made the jump over to King of Queens. First off, I must say one of my favorite openings ever
Oh yeah.
to a
I
show.
know that. I
The
know
theme
that
the theme
those
song.
lyrics so bad. Like I was singing like
It's
because I got Gabby on it, and then when it played,
yeah.
she was singing it too. I was like, yes, because I used to watch this every Saturday when it
My
came
arms are getting weary.
up. My
My
back is
back is
getting.
getting tight.
I'm sitting here in traffic on the
On the
Queensboro Bridge.
Queensboro Bridge tonight. It's so good. It's
Yeah, I
so
was gonna,
nice.
I thought we were
So
gonna go.
I
It's
used to
great.
watch it like my parents used to watch it like religiously, so it
Yeah.
was always on, and I used to watch it a decent amount. I've never watched it all the way through, like from
Mhm.
front to back. I watched the ending when it aired,
Yeah.
so I remember that. But it's just so good. It's another one of those slice of life, very relatable people. Um, fat guy with a hot wife. Just kind of going through life. I must say, Carrie, like his Doug's wife on the show, uh, as like she's terrifying. Like
Oh
she's a
yeah.
terrifying
Yeah.
person to like be married to,
Yeah.
but at the same time, she's also like she's like a mama bear type deal. Like she goes ham and she like
There is one episode where they they come at her saying how like they do like a little flashback kind of a thing
mhm.
where when she talks she growls. She's like, you always say no. He's like, no, I don't. When she goes like "Roar, roar, roar," and then Doug cowers. He always like, when you say that I just cower, I just don't do anything. But yeah, that show is great. Like, and that's one of the reasons. Like, so I feel like that's one connection that I have to you. Like, before I even met you,
Mhm.
because you have the same mannerisms as Doug. That's probably where I became super close. And that's just a me thing because when I see you on like when Doug does something, I think of you now. Because but before it used to be the other way around. But he's what it is growing up watching the show, it was funny. But when you watch it straight through, dude is evil, but she's evil too. But he's selfish as uh. but still lovable show, lovable show.
Yeah, they are definitely extremely selfish, but I think it points to the fact of like, how we're selfish in our lives, right?
Mhm.
Like just the little things, and then when you see it on TV, it's like, wow, like these guys are crazy.
Yeah,
But it's just so funny, and like I love their dynamic. Like it's just so cute. Like they love each other so much.
yeah.
Doug is a complete idiot, but he always gets stuff done. Carrie is very stern, but a great wife. She's Bay, but it's just such a good show. And Arthur, her father,
The demented
being
dad.
yeah demented. It's so funny. Like I think I'm at the end of season 2 or the beginning of season 3.
Oh, it gets
So
better from there because it's like
I know
season 3 and onwards is the best.
it just keeps getting better. It's fantastic.
It's funny because you're
Um,
probably at the point where they wrote out Carrie's sister. She doesn't. I don't think she exists anymore.
oh, they wrote her out after the pilot. Really, like in the first
It
season,
was like season
like
one right now. Yeah.
yeah. So in the pilot, they say that her and Arthur are moving in, and then you only see her one again, like 2 or 3 episodes,
Mm.
and then she's completely gone. Like it's they never even mention her again. And then I've passed the part of they get the dog,
Yeah.
and the dog is just around every
Yeah.
once in a while. Um,
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, there's a dog there for a bit, and they just. It's funny how
they
like
write that out at some
yeah,
point.
because it's the 2000s,
I
and
didn't even remember that they had a dog.
it's funny because in same show that was I'm assuming the same company. Everybody Loves Raymond was there too.
Yeah.
Doug
Hmm.
Doug is in that show, or Kevin James
Yeah.
is in that show, but not as Doug. He's as a character
Yeah.
Kevin.
Yeah. He was an extra. He's one of Ray's friends in
Yeah.
Everybody Loves Raymond. And then when the show came out, he did a couple guest spots
Yeah.
on King of Queens.
Which is
Um,
cool.
but Everyone Loves Raymond. That's a show I'll go back to at some point because I
Yeah.
liked that show too. Um, but and then I saw Halloween Kills. Already touched on that, and I think that's it right now that I'm watching. I saw an episode of my cousin put me on this thing. It's called The Challenge on MTV.
Okay.
So I'm not a big reality TV person or anything like that. And The Challenge, for everyone that knows and doesn't know, it's a show on MTV, and it's a competitive thing with like they pull people from different reality shows,
Oh wow.
put them all in a house, and they have to do physical
Oh,
competitions.
I've seen that trailer or show or whatever.
And they've been doing it forever.
Yeah.
So, it'll be people from I don't know, like the real world,
Yeah.
and then people from like
Jersey
I don't
Shore or
know,
some shit like that.
Survivor. They
Yeah.
have people from Survivor on there. So, it's just from a bunch of different like shows, and they all get together, and there's drama, and there's like people hooking up and people beating the crap out of each other. But then there's also like people scheming and like their strategy,
Oh my god.
and yeah, it's
The
they're him and
novella
his
novella
yeah,
reality
kind of
TV.
him and his girlfriend are really into it. We'll have him on the show at some point. But yeah, they were really into it, and I watched an episode with them, and I kind of got into it. I was like, "Whoa!" Like, it's 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 kind of cool, and like the physical challenges were wild. Like,
Oh wow.
they're like all these people on there, of course, are one beautiful and two
Jack.
jacked out of their mind. Like, they are incredible human
They
beings.
just eat mussels for breakfast. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it looked cool, but that was what I had watched.
All right. All right. I'm trying to
How
think.
about you, sir?
Uh so I want to talk about this maybe when it drops, but so you've seen the Cowboy Bebop trailer
Hmm.
or have so I'm stoked for it. I'm gonna rewatch it before the show on Netflix
Yep.
drops because I
Same.
got to. And
Well, I'm gonna watch it for the first time.
you're gonna watch the animated one or both?
Yeah.
You should. It's
Well,
gonna.
I'm gonna watch both, but I want to watch the animated one before.
Oh yeah, because now it's on Netflix as well, which is cool. But yeah, I watched the first episode again. Um, that's gonna be like something I'm doing because I tend to watch every couple of years. Same with Samurai Champloo. It's like those classics I just rewatch every couple of years.
That's the same guy, right?
Same director and writer, and the director continues that same theme of combining two themes. Like Cowboy Bebop, it's Western and space. Samurai Champloo is hip hop and samurais,
Yeah.
and Space Dandy is space and funk.
Space Dandy. I was trying to remember the third one.
Yeah,
I couldn't
and
remember.
I believe he didn't do another theme like that, but there's another show that he's done, but I think is a different writer. But
Mm,
yeah, those that's the combination. I'm forgetting his name. It's not Keiko. It's Watanabe. I'm forgetting his name.
mm,
But what I'm actually watching, which I'm literally one episode away from finishing. I'm watching season one, The Wire. Been watching that.
mm. Oh, you jumped on it.
Yeah, because I it was always in my list for the longest time, but then it's just like me and Gabby were talking about it because I want to watch
Hmm.
Sopranos too. So we just got
Yeah,
on The Wire, and The Wire is really good. But I don't know if there was a hype at some point in time, but I guess I was too young at the time, obviously.
yeah,
But I always hear about it, and I was just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be on my list. But then for some reason we just said let's just do it, and it's pretty good. It holds up. But it's funny. It takes place in 2002, the first season, obviously, and it just comes to think like what they're doing now is what we do today. It's or what cops do today is probably just the norm. Like
yeah.
wiretapping. It's really cool. Like the FBI has like everything, but it's funny when you watch it, you're gonna laugh at certain things where the main character McNulty goes into his friend's department. He's an FBI agent just to like see what they got. He's like, "Yeah, man, we're just watching this live feed." He's like, "This is live," and they're watching drug dealers. He said, "This is live," and I was like, "This is 2021. I'm pretty sure they know." But then I'm thinking like in 2002, because mind you, this is post 9/11, so they're like,
Hmm.
this is probably when things started skyrocketing. So then, but what made me laugh was they see a screen and it shows like a computer, but with the Windows 98, no, Windows 2000 start menu, like the blue and
Yeah.
so that made me laugh. I was like, wow, like I feel old. And but yeah, other than that, I think it's a good show. Like I don't like crime shows like the CSIs, the NC. Like it to me, it just blends together. But this is not
Hmm.
the cop show that you see on your regular cable channels. This is a
Hmm.
cop show that has progression. That's not like it's not a monster of the week kind of a thing, and I like that. I
Okay.
don't like monster of the week cop shows.
Hmm.
To me, it's just whatever. There are people that like that, but to me, it's just boring. And hey, there's a market for it because people like it. I'm not gonna knock it. But The Wire to me is different because there's a story. There are characters that you care about.
Yeah, it's linear, right?
Yeah, and it's linear. But I'm on season one. I've heard there's probably a downgrade when it gets later, but that's what happens with many shows. So we'll see how
Yeah.
that goes. Um, Michael B. Jordan's in it. He goes, Wallace. His name is Wallace. I'm watching it, and Gabby was like, "Oh my god, he's so ugly." I was like, "Yeah,
He's got to be like super young,
yeah,
right?
yeah, he's young." Because there was a movie that Michael B. Jordan was in with Keanu Reeves, and to me, Keanu Reeves doesn't age. But when I see Keanu Reeves in that movie and Michael B.
What
Jordan,
movie?
it's a baseball movie. I forget the name of the
He
movie.
was in Hardball.
It's hard. Yes, yes. Look it up. Look it up. Google it. He looks very young. So
No
in The
way. He's
Wire,
one of the
he's young
kids in
too. But
freaking Hardball.
I'm like, bro, he's just going through puberty. That's all.
That's bananas. I had no idea that he was
He
in
just
that
he
movie.
just elbowed young, fine, hell of a guy. If you guys saw that watching the video, um,
What?
he
What
just
did? What
elbowed.
did you? What about him?
I thought he's great.
In what? Oh, in The Wire.
Yeah, he's in The Wire. Yeah, he's
Oh,
great.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
but he's great in that show. It's funny because there's like one time or a couple times that you catch his British accent because it's one of his like early shows where
His earliest,
yeah,
right?
yeah. He's like he says something. I was like, "Oh, your American accent needs work," but I was like, he's gotten better. I think everything he's in now, he's just always British, so no complaints. Oh, and except The Office. The Office it was pretty good.
Bro, that's
Look,
crazy. I
you
just
saw it,
saw
right?
a yes, I just saw a picture and dude, he's so young. He's got to be like 12 in that. Dude,
Yeah,
that's bananas. That blew my
yeah.
mind.
That's the show I'm watching right now.
That's dope.
Yeah,
That's another one. Like I want to watch that. I want to watch Sopranos. Like those are on my list. My cousin just started watching Sopranos. He loves it.
we gotta get on it. We gotta get him on this, and I want to get your cousin on this when you watch Justice League, whenever that comes, because he has things to say, and then I don't want to talk about it if you're not. Like that's the only time we can talk
Well,
about it.
yeah, we'll have a full 5 hour
Yeah,
Justice League conversation
5 hour
of
talk about a
retrospective.
4 hour movie. That extra hour is just us talking literally everything. But anyway, enough about
All right. Well, with that, I believe we can say goodbye to episode 6. Thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, follow. Check us out on YouTube,
share us to the
Instagram,
world.
um, Spotify is where you're probably hearing this on. But check us out everywhere. We do cool stuff. We're pretty fun. Um,
We talk nice, cool things.
we do, and you know what? I want to start hearing like from whoever obviously listens in. Hit us up,
Yeah,
DM us, comment on things.
ask us weird
Whether
questions.
yeah,
Like,
whether
how
it
does
be
he
on
get his air
YouTube or on
conditioning?
Instagram.
Like, what condition do you use? I'll answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would love to answer questions. I'd love to get some feedback. What you guys like, what you don't like. If you don't like our faces, I'm sorry. But if you do like our faces, also let us know. That'd be fun.
yeah. I
So,
just pause there so you can screenshot that, put it on your wallpaper on your computer.
till next time, be good. Love you all. Bye.
Hashtag deuces.